You can see that the sun is red, and that is not mist. That is smoke from the fires. Good morning. As you can see, it's a little bit smoky today, so the sun is red this morning. Welcome to Acts Day 10. There was a certain man in Caesarea called Cornelius, a centurion of the cohort called the Italian cohort, a devout man and one who feared God with all his house, who gave many charitable gifts to the people and always prayed to God. About the 9th hour of the day, he clearly saw in a vision an angel of God coming to him and saying to him, "Cornelius." And when he looked at him, he was afraid and said, "What is it, Lord?" And he said to him, "Your prayers and your charitable gifts have come up for a memorial before God. And now send men to Joppa and call for Simon, whose surname is Peter. He is lodging with Simon, a tanner, whose house is by the seaside. He shall tell you what you ought to do." And when the angel who spoke to Cornelius had departed, he called 2 of his household servants and a devout soldier from those who waited on him continually. And when he had declared all these things to them, he sent them to Joppa. On the next day, as they went on their journey and drew near the city, Peter went up on the housetop about the 6th hour to pray. And he became very hungry and wanted to eat. But while they made preparations, he fell into a trance, and saw heaven opened, and a certain container descending to him, as if it had been a great sheet, tied at the 4 corners and let down to the earth, in which were all manner of 4-footed beasts of the earth, and wild beasts and creeping things, and fowl of the air. And a voice came to him, "Rise, Peter, kill and eat." But Peter said, "Not so, Lord, for I have never eaten anything that is common or unclean." And the voice spoke to him again the 2nd time, "What God has cleansed, do not call that common." This was done 3 times, and the container was received up into heaven again. Now while Peter doubted in himself what this vision that he had seen should mean, behold, the men who had been sent from Cornelius made an inquiry for Simon's house, and stood before the gate, and called and asked whether Simon, who was surnamed Peter, was lodging there. While Peter thought about the vision, the Spirit said to him, "Behold, 3 men are seeking you. Arise, therefore, and get down and go with them, doubting nothing, for I have sent them." Then Peter went down to the men who had been sent to him from Cornelius, and said, "Behold, I am he whom you seek. What is the reason for which you have come?" And they said, "Cornelius the centurion, a just man, and one who fears God and has a good reputation among all the nation of the Jews, was warned by a holy angel from God to send for you, to come to his house and to hear words from you." Then he called them in and gave them lodging. And on the next day, Peter went away with them, and some brothers from Joppa accompanied him. And the next day they entered into Caesarea, and Cornelius was waiting for them, and had called together his relatives and close friends. And as Peter came in, Cornelius met him, and fell down at his feet and worshipped him. But Peter took him up, saying, "Stand up, I myself am also a man." And as he talked with him, he went in and found many who had come together. And he said to them, "You know how it is an unlawful thing for a man who is a Jew to keep company with or visit someone of another nation. But God has shown me that I should not call any man common or unclean. Therefore, as soon as I was sent for, I came to you without objection. I ask, therefore, for what intent have you sent for me?" And Cornelius said, 4 days ago I was fasting until this hour, and I prayed in my house at the 9th hour. And behold, a man stood before me in bright clothing, and said, "Cornelius, your prayer has been heard, and your charitable gifts have been remembered in the sight of God. Therefore, send men to Joppa and call Simon, whose surname is Peter, here. He is lodged in the house of Simon, a tanner, by the seaside. When he comes, he shall speak to you. Therefore, I sent to you immediately, and you have done well to come. Now, therefore, we are all here, present before God, to hear all things that you have been commanded by God. Then Peter opened his mouth and said, Truly, I perceive that God shows no partiality, but in every nation he who fears him and works righteousness is accepted by him. The word that God sent to the children of Israel, preaching peace by Jesus Christ, he is Lord of all. That word, I say, you know, which was proclaimed throughout all Judea, and began from Galilee, after the baptism that John preached, how God anointed Jesus of Nazareth with the Holy Spirit and with power, who went about doing good and healing all who were oppressed by the devil, for God was with him. And we are witnesses of all things that he did, both in the land of the Jews and in Jerusalem, whom they slew and hung on a tree. God raised him up the third day, and showed him openly, not to all the people, but to witnesses chosen before by God, even to us, who ate and drank with him after he rose from the dead. And he commanded us to preach to the people, and to testify that it is he who was ordained by God to be the judge of living and dead. To him all the prophets give witness that through his name whoever believes in him shall receive remission of sins. Isn't that awesome? Whoever believes in him shall receive remission of sins. While Peter still spoke these words, the Holy Spirit fell on all those who heard the word. And those of the circumcision who believed, as many as came with Peter, were astonished, because the gift of the Holy Spirit was also poured out on the Gentiles. For they heard them speak with tongues and magnify God. Then Peter answered, Can any man forbid water, that these should not be baptized who have received the Holy Spirit, just as we have? And he commanded them to be baptized in the name of the Lord. Then they asked him to remain for some days. So, right now, it's Thursday morning. So, Tuesday night, I had this kind of vision, closed eye vision, but as I was falling asleep. So I wasn't asleep yet, so you can't really call it a dream. And it was just really short. And it was of this gate on my property just swinging open. Like I had one recently where my husband was at the gate and the gate was just starting to go. This one, there was no one behind the gate that I saw, but the gate just went whoosh, and it was just open. This is the gate that swung open. Obviously, there's some garden stuff here that I need to clean up. And we're friends with our neighbors, so it would be no big deal if this gate swung open. But it was interesting. Like, it was just like both sides of the gate simultaneously. Whoosh, and it was just open. And then there was a dream I had a week or so ago. I thought I wrote it down, but I can't find where I wrote it. Anyway, this piece of the dream was really short. I just got on an elevator and I realized I was in the elevator with a guy who looked kind of like Jared Kushner maybe, but younger. And in the dream, I knew he was 25. And then the thought I had was, wow, you're a lot younger than I thought you'd be. And he was like either the Antichrist or he was like some high up there Prince of Darkness. I don't know how the ranking systems work at all. But he turned to me and he just gave me this really creepy look. And he said, "Do you think all people have parents?" And I was like, what? Like, of all the things you could have said to me, that is weird. But I guess maybe he was just talking about the fact that some people are kind of created in labs. I mean, and you have completely human people created that way, I guess. But then also, I think there are some non-human beings being created this way, or half human. There's a lot of weird stuff going on. There's a lot that the scientific community now has the ability to do, but they haven't necessarily asked if they should do it. They just kind of went ahead and started doing it. Anyways, so that was the dream I had in the elevator with the Antichrist. Although, kind of weird, because that's not who I thought the Antichrist was. I thought it was a different guy. But maybe it wasn't even the Antichrist. Maybe it was just some high-ranking bad dude. I don't know. But he was young. I don't know, man. Thank you for joining me, and keep looking up.